The theatre was first built in 1911, but it was predominantly, as I was growing up as a child, it was a movie theatre. And I remember coming here to see movies, cartoons when I was young. But I can remember the symphony orchestra used to come up from Brisbane and do big school concerts. And in those days, this theatre held over 2,000 people. And so they used to pack it with school children, and I was one of them. And then in the 1970s, it actually closed down. It basically sat for 25 years.
And if you could see the photos, the pigeons had taken over. It was an absolute disgrace.
It was used for a few interesting things. I can remember Walton's department store traded through here at a time, and then the Department of Education bought it, and it was used for what we would call TAFE classes. So they used to practice building houses and doing all sorts of things in the auditorium, which by that time had no seats in it. There was a huge controversy. Basically, it started with a group of people in Toowoomba expressing an interest to reopen the theatre, because as I said, it had really just sat here. And they had it inspected, and it was deemed to be structurally sound, and they sort of started to push to have it refurbished and reopened. It eventually went to vote by the council, which was then the Toowoomba City Council. There was 8 councillors, and of course 4 voted to refurbish and 4 voted to pull it down. And the mayor at the time, Ross Miller, actually used his casting vote to put it through to refurbish it. So it was very close to being knocked down. A lot of people felt that it was a waste of money. They wanted to pull this one down, build a car park on it and build a flat floor all-purpose venue somewhere else. They felt that at 6 months' time it'd be a white elephant, but we have proved them wrong. But that was the feeling at the time. It probably took 4 years at least before we won everybody over. It did take a long time, but eventually we've won everybody over, and I think we'd probably be 99.9% there now. And it's become a real hub from a cultural point of view and from an entertainment point of view. We do get many, many visitors from all around the regions. They think nothing of travelling 4 or 5 hours to come to the theatre.
I've done every kind of venue you can think of, from a bar to 22,000-seater in Berlin outdoor. This has got a real good vibe. It's an old theatre, and it feels like an old theatre. So, as a performer, a lot of artists have left their heart and soul in this one. That's what you feel. And I'm just treading the boards again, leaving a bit of my heart and soul. Great audience, great theatre, really good vibe. I hope I can come back again and again. It's one of the prettiest theatres I've played in.
In the world?
Yeah, in the world.
It's a big call. You've played in a few?
I've played. This is one of the best. Yeah. Just the whole vibe, you know, I really like it.
How do you feel about the Empire Theatre?
I say it's absolutely fantastic.
I think the Empire Theatre is a really important place for Toowoomba.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, it is. It's lovely.
Beautiful old venue.
You like the Empire Theatre?
Yes, I do.
A couple of shows each year? Or each month?
All shows, mostly.
Like any industries, word does travel around within the industry, so we find that international artists do get to know us we have one international artist will tell another one, and they sort of know the theatre before they come. I can remember right back in the early days, Midnight Oil came here and actually lived here for a week and rehearsed their show for their tour before they actually started their tour here.
We had like 300 people on the stage for a farewell dinner, and we've had balls on the stage, we have weddings, we have all sorts of things. And I think just generally the public have just begun to realise it really was an essential part. Just
the performance experiences that it's offered me over the shows, from cats singing in the rain and to the stray dramas as well, which was really good and a big turning point in my own sort of direction on where I want to head.
Well, I love the Empire Theatre. Well, when I said that I was doing acting here, everyone was like, that's really cool. Like if you say you're acting at the Empire, it's this whole different thing. It's awesome.
I've been fortunate enough to be involved with the Empire now for a number of years, and we have seen students come through the processes, come through our major productions, come through our shows, and really drive forward through and have now started to establish professional careers. And that's really, really satisfying when you see someone sometimes move out of town, sometimes stay in town, but they've actually forged a bit of a career for themselves, and it started here. That's really, really satisfying.
After the flood in January, we decided we would go down to the Lockyer Valley and work with the students down at the high school there. We didn't want to go in and be one of those arts projects that knows best and goes in and, you know, we know what to do for you now and we're going to create a production about the flood. We didn't want to do that. And so it was mostly about going in and engaging with the kids in the community for them to engage with as many creative arts practices as they could.
April's Fool is a production completely produced by the Empire Theatre from the ground up. The premise of it is a local story about a young boy, Christian Terauds, who passed away unfortunately due to his drug use, and it really resonated in the hearts of this community, and particularly in the hearts of our artistic community. And we decided to develop a story around that. So we got on board David Burton, an award-winning playwright, who decided that this piece of theatre should be a verbatim script, and worked many, many long hours with Christian's family, his friends, the people who were around him at the accident, ambulance drivers, etc., to develop a script that was completely verbatim. So we developed that through the creative process, right up until we auditioned and cast actors and so on. And once we had the production, we then toured it around this region. So the opening night was actually in Oakey, and we toured it out to Chinchilla and Dalby, Ipswich and the Judith Wright Centre in Brisbane. And our focus with it was to really focus on the young people in this region. We targeted schools, and we had hundreds, if not thousands, of young people attending the production, and we had some really good feedback as to the effect of that on some of these young people. You know, in terms of us being a regional theatre and a regional theatre company, this is a regional story. This is about Christian Terauds, who was from Toowoomba, and I think people understand that, but not only that, this is a story that resonates with everybody, from regional towns definitely through to the cities. So it is an Australian story, and I think you know, in terms of the Empire Theatre, we are the largest regional theatre in Australia. We're not some little outback town. I think some people are surprised by that when they come here. They don't really realise the impact we're having on our community. But that's who we are, and we're just trying to make a foothold in the Australian industry, and I think we're doing it very successfully.
People did think that in 6 months it'd be closed and the money would be wasted. I mean, the best time is when people that have come in that I've known all my life almost, and they've come up to me and they've actually said, we really didn't want this, but now we think it's the best thing in the world, and it's just lovely to hear. A lot of children think they might have come from the back seats of the theatre. There's a lot of stories like that. I've caught a few myself actually.
I'm sure they're true.
It's a stunning building, like absolutely beautiful building.
And there's a lot of stuff on here every month. Like I went on their website to buy these tickets to come here, and there's just so much stuff on.
Yeah.
Where would they have it if the Empire Theatre wasn't here?
Suzi Quatro, my favourite.
You too, obviously.
Yeah. Can you tell?
Look at you. You've got it down pat. Is it your first time at the Empire?
Yeah.
What a spectacular building. What do you think?
Excellent, very excellent entertainment centre, mate.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
The Empire Theatre is part of the Toowoomba fabric. What does it mean to you guys?
Oh, it's fantastic. It's just wonderful that they've got it here and that they did it all up again.